6:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Romesh Peris and read by Mario Vijayavardhana. The headlines. The island-wide travel restriction will be lifted from 4 a.m. tomorrow. The Ministry of Health reports an increased number of patients treated for COVID-19 have recovered and have been discharged from hospitals within the last 24 hours. 10 reservoirs spill over. Rains and floods affect over 45,000 people. Special long-distance trains for the government and private sector employees from tomorrow. The Epidemiology Unit of the Ministry of Health says a person with COVID-19 symptoms receiving the vaccine is futile. A report called from the CID regarding the AG's statement on the incomplete investigation into the Easter Sunday attack. In international news, the Israeli Prime Minister vows to continue strikes as conflict with Gaza enters the 7th day. In sports, cricket, the new ODI captain Kusal Perera wants young Sri Lanka to play fearlessly against Bangladesh. The island-wide travel restriction will be lifted from 4 a.m. tomorrow. However, travel restrictions will be imposed from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. daily from tomorrow till the 31st of May. Meanwhile, the police media spokesperson DIG Ajit Rohana said those who leave their houses for non-essential activities from tomorrow until May 31st should leave according to the last digit of the national ID, the driving license or passport. Hence, on odd days, those who have 1, 3, 5, 7 and 9 as the last digit of the national ID can leave their premises. On even days, those who have 0, 2, 4, 6 and 8 as the last digit on the ID can leave their premises. Once again, on odd days, those who have 1, 3, 5, 7 and 9 as the last digit of the national ID can leave their premises. On even days, those who have 0, 2, 4, 6 and 8 as the last digit on the ID can leave their premises. The Ministry of Health reports that 1,102 more patients who were being treated for COVID-19 have recovered and have been discharged from hospitals within the last 24 hours. This increases the total number of coronavirus recoveries in the country to 118,322. Sri Lanka has so far reported 140,471 positive cases of COVID-19, while presently a total of 21,208 infected patients are being treated at hospitals and treatment centres. The death toll due to the virus has risen to 941. Another 12,558 persons have been administered the second dose of the Oxford AstraZeneca Covishield vaccine yesterday. The Epidemiology Unit said, accordingly, 265,465 persons in Sri Lanka have been fully vaccinated with Covishield jabs. Meanwhile, 68,992 persons were also administered the first dose of the Sinopharm vaccine yesterday. 348,619 persons have received the first jab of the Sinopharm vaccine thus far. Accordingly, 81,550 individuals were inoculated against the coronavirus yesterday. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Director of the Water Management Division of the Irrigation Department, Engineer D. Abhay Sirivardhana said, due to the heavy rains prevailing in some parts of the country, 10 main reservoirs under the Irrigation Department are currently overflowing and the sluice gates of 12 major reservoirs have been opened. The Irrigation Department says that about 12,000 cubic feet per second of water is released from the Dadru Oya reservoir alone. Engineer Abe Sirivardhana said the department cautions the people residing below the reservoir to be vigilant. Another 15 major reservoirs are nearing maximum water levels. Meanwhile, the Kalani, Kalu, Ging and Nilvala rivers and the Maha Oya and the Attanagalu Oya are still overflowing. According to the latest update from the Disaster Management Centre, at least 4 persons have died and 46,730 people belonging to 11,796 families in 9 districts have been affected due to the adverse weather conditions prevailing in several parts of the country for the last few days. The Disaster Management Centre says that 1,247 people belonging to 364 affected families are housed in 19 shelters and 636 houses partially and 3 houses fully damaged. People in the Kayagalla, Colombo, Kalutara, Gampaha, Kurunagala, Kandy, Puttalama, Kayagalla, Gala and Matara districts have been affected. The Epidemiology Unit of the Ministry of Health says a person with symptoms of the COVID-19 infection should not receive the COVID-19 vaccine. The Chief Epidemiologist Dr. Sudat Samarveera further said that a person with COVID-19 symptoms receiving the jab is futile. He mentioned this addressing a press conference held in Colombo today. He further said the vaccination process is delayed for those who are currently quarantined and those who are suspect to be infected with the virus. Dr. Samarveera also stated the transmissibility of the virus from a person diminishes after 10 to 14 days. Dr. Samarveera further remarked that asymptomatic COVID-19 patients are sent home from hospitals and intermediate care centres after 10 days. He noted that they should remain in their homes for another 4 days. The chief epidemiologist further noted that after the 14 days, persons can engage in their daily activities as per usual. The Minister of Public Security, Sarath Weerasekara, states that a report has been called from the CID regarding the statement made by Attorney General Dappula Dilivera yesterday that the investigation into the Easter Sunday attack is incomplete. The Minister stated that it would be received today or tomorrow. The Attorney General's Coordinating Officer, State Counsel Nisha Rajayaratne, stated that the Attorney General wished to inform the public that he is not in a position to present charges or indictments against the conspirators and abettors of the 2019 Easter attacks during his tenure of office. She added that this is due to the fact that investigations by the Criminal Investigation Department in this regard are incomplete. Meanwhile, the Attorney General has written to the Inspector General of Police in a 130-page communication and sought confirmation in writing of the evidence available against 42 suspects in Category A in connection with the Easter attacks. The Director General of the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, Dhammika Wijayasinghe, says tourists who arrive in the island can tour the country in a biosecure bubble as per the guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health. The Director General stated that the Health Services Director General and the Inspector General of Police have been notified of the decision. The Director General of the SLTDA further stated that tourists arriving in the island can also cross the provinces in a biosecure bubble while adhering to coronavirus health guidelines. It was noted that institutions and individuals who have taken steps to bring in tourists are strictly advised to follow the health guidelines when transporting tourists via the bio-bubble method, adding that strict action will be taken against persons who fail to adhere to this regulation. That's local news.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Sri Lanka Railway Station Masters Union said the Railways Department has decided to operate trains according to the schedule implemented last Thursday, the 13th of May. Hence, several long-distance trains will facilitate the state and private sector employees who travel to and from their workplaces. Accordingly, 4 trains will be plying in the morning and in the evening as scheduled. The train services are as follows. Office trains will operate from Kandy to Colombo, from Maho to Fort, from Chilau to Fort, and a special train between Bolavatta and Puttalama, with an office train from Beliatta to Maradana, leaving daily. Meanwhile, the aforementioned trains will leave for their return destinations in the evening as scheduled. Once again, office trains will operate from Kandy to Colombo, from Maho to Fort, from Chilau to Fort, and a special train between Bolavatta and Puttalama, with an office train from Beliatha to Maradana leaving daily. Meanwhile, the aforementioned trains will leave for their return destinations in the evening as scheduled. The Railway Department requested the commuters to keep their office ID and the request letter from the head of the department with them to ensure their identity and purpose of travel.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
And now in Watchlight, the Ministry of Power has informed the public to refrain from approaching power lines that collapsed during the inclement weather conditions. The media director of the ministry, Sulakshana Jayawardena, said in the event power cables are found to have collapsed on trees due to the inclement weather, the Ceylon Electricity Board or the Lanka Electricity Company consumer units or call centres should be informed via 1987. He noted travelling over such power lines could be harmful and claimed that attempting to shift fallen trees could also be dangerous. Therefore, he requests the public to notify the authorities of such incidents at the earliest. That came to you in Watchlight. And now in world news headlines, the Israeli Prime Minister vows to continue strikes as conflict with Gaza enters the 7th day. The Myanmar army fights anti-coup militia as armed resistance grows. Japan expands state of emergency. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to continue to respond forcefully to rocket attacks as conflict with Palestinians in Gaza enters a 7th day. Health officials said Israeli airstrikes in Gaza killed at least 3 Palestinians earlier today. Palestinian militants fired rockets towards Tel Aviv, causing people there to flee to bomb shelters. The international community has called for an end to the escalating conflict. Yesterday, US President Joe Biden phoned Mr. Netanyahu and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas to express concern about the situation. A UN Security Council meeting is set to take place later today. Myanmar's army battled local militia fighters in the northwestern town of Mindat yesterday to try to quell a rebellion that has sprung up to oppose the junta which seized power in the Southeast Asian country in February. The fighting is some of the heaviest since the coup and underlines the growing chaos as the junta struggles to impose order in the face of daily protests, strikes and sabotage attacks after it overthrew elected leader Aung San Suu Kyi. Japan has expanded its coronavirus state of emergency to the prefectures of Hokkaido, Okayama and Hiroshima, where daily case counts have been surging. The measure now covers 9 prefectures including Tokyo and Osaka and is in force until May 31st. Residents of Hokkaido are urged not to go out unless it is essential, and dining establishments are asked to cut their business hours. The northernmost prefectures of Saturday had the highest number in the country of cases in the previous week, per 100,000 people. And now the headlines of the World News segment once again. The Israeli Prime Minister vows to continue strikes as conflict with Gaza enters the 7th day. The Myanmar army fights anti-coup militia as armed resistance grows. Japan expands state of emergency. That was World News, and now in development news, the World Bank stated it is providing Sri Lanka $80.5 million to buy vaccines in a program that has already provided $298 million to the country to fight the coronavirus pandemic. Faris Haddad-Zervos, World Bank Country Director for Sri Lanka, said the World Bank remains responsive to the health priorities of Sri Lanka as well as emergency needs. The World Bank said the additional financing comes under the agency's COVID-19 Emergency Response and Health System Preparedness Project to purchase and deploy safe and effective COVID-19 vaccines that meet the World Bank's vaccine approval criteria and to prepare for the future.
Sports News is brought to you by...
When Aya bought a motorbike, he bought 2 helmets. So sweet of him. I'm sure the other one is for me.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others. When we get Munchies Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves. Munchies Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikang neve.
If there's one change Sri Lanka's new ODI captain Kusal Perera would like to usher in, it is for his team to play as he says he does, completely unafraid. Perera has been appointed leader of a young squad which is without several big names and now has the opportunity to turn around Sri Lanka's poor form in the format. Perera has long been one of the most aggressive batsmen in Sri Lanka's ranks, and early indications are that he would like the team to embrace that ethos of fearlessness. Meanwhile, the Sri Lankan team left for Bangladesh today to participate in 3 ODIs. The first match between the two countries is scheduled to start on the 23rd of May.
My wife always sets a full lunch table even if it's just the 2 of us. She always expects people to drop by, like maybe the army.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others. When we get Munchies Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves. Munchies Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikang neve.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Sri Lankan Engineering, the engineering and maintenance arm of Sri Lankan Airlines, has entered into a strategic collaboration with UK-based Avensis Aviation to offer maintenance services for the embodiment of passenger-to-flight conversions for Airbus A320 and A330 aircraft. The first output of this collaboration was the embodiment of a PTF conversion of an Airbus A320 aircraft for the operator Fitzair, which was recently completed on time and within the budget. Sri Lankan Engineering is an European aviation safety agency approved MRO facility with major maintenance check capability at its base in Colombo, Sri Lanka. The technical sales teams of Sri Lankan Engineering and Avensis will aggressively promote the aircraft conversion portfolio to attract more maintenance activity to Sri Lanka.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Sri Lanka Telecom PLC released its financial results for the first quarter of 2021 with remarkable 14.3% year-on-year growth in profit after tax to 2.1 billion rupees. The group revenue went up to 24.7 billion rupees for the period with 11.4 year-on-year growth, strongly underpinned by the growth in revenues of FTTH, 4G LTE, mobile broadband services, POTV services and career domestic services. International voice revenue reflected reduced growth, while international revenues from global transit and global data soared compared to the same period last year.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
The Met Department forecasts showers or thundershowers to occur at times in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central and northwestern provinces and in the Galla and Matara districts. The Met Department predicts several spells of showers to occur in the northern and the north-central provinces and showers or thundershowers to occur at a few places in the eastern and Uva provinces during the evening or night. Fairly heavy falls of above 50 millimeters can be expected at some places in the Sabaragamuwa province and in the Kalutara, Galla, Matara, Nuwara Eliya and Kandy districts. Wind speeds can increase up to 30 to 40 kilometers per hour at times over the island. Wind speed can gust up to 50 kilometers per hour, particularly in the western slopes of the Central Hills, the northern, north-central and northwestern provinces. In the sea areas, the cyclonic storm Tauktae, which is hovering over the Arabian Sea, has intensified into a very severe cyclonic storm. The Met Department predicts it is likely to intensify further during the next 12 hours and to move nearly northwestwards and cross the Gujarati coast in India by Tuesday. The Met Department added its impact on the weather over the island is expected to reduce gradually.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
And now the headlines of this news broadcast once again. The island-wide travel restriction will be lifted from 4 a.m. tomorrow. The Ministry of Health reports an increased number of patients treated for COVID-19 have recovered and have been discharged from hospitals within the last 24 hours. 10 reservoirs spill over. Rains and floods affect over 45,000 people. Special long-distance trains for the government and private sector employees from tomorrow. The Epidemiology Unit of the Ministry of Health says a person with COVID-19 symptoms receiving the vaccine is futile. A report called from the CID regarding the AG's statement on the incomplete investigation into the Easter Sunday attack. In international news, the Israeli Prime Minister vows to continue strikes as conflict with Gaza enters the 7th day. In sports cricket, the new ODI captain Kusal Perera wants young Sri Lanka to play fearlessly against Bangladesh. That concludes this news broadcast.